Hi, I'm one of the designers of Insania, a co-op horror board game for 1 to 4 players, set in ancient Rome where you and your friends will play the roles of legionaries, oracles and gladiators, defending the empire from nightmarish monsters and trying not to lose your minds in the process. Care to join me? I got our prototype here set up for 4 players for one of the game's most basic missions. You were sent from the capital to investigate a Roman town rumored to be terrorized by monsters. Local population is either hiding or more likely dead. This mission's objective is closing all dimensional portals on the board. There are 2 on it at the start, but new portals may sprout during the game, giving you a harder time. We'll go over how to close them later. Just know, as soon as there are no more portals on the board, your team wins immediately. And how do you lose? If all heroes die, you lose. You will also lose if this deck runs out. These are effort cards you use for actions, and the deck represents your collective willpower. Running it out means your team no longer has self-confidence to fight. You basically lost all hope and gave up. In your turn, first you draw up to 3 effort cards, then you take 3 actions. That's it. Your hand limit is 5 effort cards at all times. If you ever find yourself with more than 5, discard until you have 5 cards in hand. Since this is a cooperative game, you play with your cards facing up so everyone else can see them. In the first round of the game, you don't have to draw cards because you will already start with 5. From the second round onwards, always draw up to 3 cards to refill. Then, like I said, take 3 actions. There are a few to choose. You can repeat them, you can do them at any order you like. Then it's on to the next player or enemy. Now, to realize most actions in Insania, you need to meet a difficulty value called effort. To do so, you will check your attributes. There are 3 in Insania: physical, mental, and mystical. These can go up and down depending on what you do in the game. So let's pick action Close Portal, which you need to do to finish the mission. To take this action, your hero must be in the same space as the portal. Now, your player aid says this action's effort is Mystical 10. Check your mystical attribute. Right now, it's 1. So you still need 9, right? That's where effort cards come in. Their values vary from 1 to 6. Rule is, you can only use 1 card per action, unless you connect 2 or more cards. See these half geometric figures in the sides of the cards? Complete 1 figure to connect and add their values. You're going to do that all the time in Insania. This is the heart of the game. But remember, if the effort deck is over, your team loses. Now your total is 10, same as the action effort. So remove the portal from the board and place a special item token in its place. If the effort of an action is equal to or lower than your attribute, you don't need to spend a card. It's considered effortless. Combat is an action that plays out in a similar fashion. Most combat in Insania is melee, so you have to share a space with the enemy. Then check the effort in its card. In this case, 3. Then use your physical attribute for the action. Now, see there are 2 hearts? It means it has 2 hit points. When you meet the effort, you're inflicting 1 damage. But you can go overkill by discarding more effort cards. Each extra effort card, regardless of its value, equals 1 more damage. Oh yeah, when an enemy has this symbol, it means it can only be hurt by mystical or blessed weapons. A mystical weapon has this icon on the card and you must use your mystical attribute instead of physical to realize the action. There is a place on the map, the sanctuary, where you can take an ordinary weapon to bless it, so it can damage mystical enemies just like a mystical weapon, but you're still using your physical attribute. Also worth mentioning, mystical and blessed weapons damage regular monsters just the same. Scavenging for items is a mental effort action. Now, depending on what space you're in, the effort will change. This is a market space. Pretty easy to find items. Point of interest or residential areas? Average effort. Items are scarcer in bucolic spaces, so the effort is high. Wherever you are, meet the effort and just pick the top card from the items deck. You can then immediately equip it. To destroy a mystical barrier, be in an adjacent space. This is not adjacent, this is adjacent. And meet the mystical effort. Then remove the barrier tile and place an item token in its place. Medicine is a mental effort action used to heal 2 health points for you or an ally. It can only cure health points, not sanity points. Movement is effortless. You can move up to 3 spaces on the board with 1 movement action. You cannot cross the white lines. They represent cliffs, walls, and other obstacles. Also, you cannot enter a space protected by a mystic barrier. If you walk into a space with an enemy token front side down, reveal it and replace it with a miniature of the enemy. If you're in a space with enemies and you want to move out, you can, but you will take damage equal to the number of enemies in your space. Each of these map pieces represents a district. When you move to a district no hero has walked in yet, you reveal the district. Pause your movement and draw a district card. It will show you how to populate the revealed district with enemies and tokens. Exclamation point, place an encounter token on the space. This yellow symbol means you place an enemy token front side down on the space. No peeking. Red symbol means you place an enemy token, reveal it, and then replace it with a miniature of the enemy. This blue hexagon means place a mystic barrier in the central space. After all placements are done, if you still have movement left, you can do it. If you want, you can reveal a neighbor district before entering it by using a different action, the reveal district action. Just do placements on the neighbor district, and then you can get a free move to your adjacent space within the newly revealed district. Need more effort cards? You can spend an action to buy a card from the deck. You can also spend an action to pick up an item or special item in a space with enemies. But if there are no enemies there, you can pick it up for free. Just remove the token and draw your item card. Then there's the inventory action. So let's take a look at your character sheet. Equipped items go in the slots. You can have 1 armor, 1 weapon, and 1 miscellaneous item equipped. You can also have up to 3 items of any type in your inventory. Just place them next to your character sheet. Now, when you take the inventory action, you can not only rearrange your items, but also share them with characters in the same space as you. And that's not all. Every player can also do inventory for free during your turn. Now, items play an important role in Insania. See this gladius? Equip it to raise your physical attribute by 2. Lose the sword, lose the bonus. Armor protects you from getting hurt. This one has 3 HP. If you see this icon, means the effect happens by discarding the item. This is not considered an action. Now, do you see the eagle symbol? Item cards connect to each other, just like effort cards. Complete an eagle symbol to get a blessing. More eagles means accumulating increasingly more powerful blessings, but if you discard the items, you lose the blessings. Finally, some characters have their own special actions. The centurion, for instance, can make another hero in the same district take an action immediately. And the central spaces in every district, which are called points of interest, also have special actions you can perform. In the library, for instance, you can discard any effort card to raise your mental attribute by 1. Insania's turn order is defined by this initiative queue, going from left to right. Every time a new enemy type enters the board, you place its card on the rightmost space of the queue. If this card has an arrow pointing left or right, you're going to move it 1 card up or down the queue. Some enemies have 2 arrows, so you're gonna move it 2 spaces down. Now, if you eliminate all enemies of a kind from the board, remove its card from the initiative queue. If it ever returns the board, it comes back at the rightmost space once again. After everyone in queue has had its turn, go back to the leftmost card, which is an event. An event usually has a negative outcome that will jeopardize the whole team. Also, every time there's this icon on an event card, a monster will appear in any space with a portal. Oh shit. Now let's go through enemy activation. It's this guy's turn, meaning all of this type of enemy on the board will activate. Apart from bosses, and we're not covering them in this video, all other enemies always move first, then attack. Their pattern is moving towards the hero closest to them. If the activated enemy is equidistant to 2 or more heroes in different spaces, it will move towards the space with the most heroes. If these spaces share the same number of heroes, it's up to the players to choose which of these spaces the enemy will move towards. Beware this little fucker, it's a ghost, so it will ignore white lines. Also worth mentioning, all enemies can move through mystical barriers. This is the maximum number of spaces the enemy will move in one activation. If it reaches a hero, it will stop moving and attack. Enemies automatically hit heroes in their space. Be careful, if an enemy shares a space with multiple heroes, it will damage every poor fucker there. Check the card to see their damage. This is damage to heroes' health points, while this is damage to sanity points. This means the hero will also have to lose an item of their choosing. Now, every time an attack or a condition has players losing items, they must lose equipped items. If they don't have any equipped items, only then they must lose items from their inventory. When you take physical damage, you can choose how to distribute that damage. On your hit points, on armor or shield if you have one, or you can defend by discarding one effort card per damage. That's why it's a good idea to finish a round with a few cards in hand. You can even use effort cards to human shield allies in the same space. Just discard one per damage. Remember, if your HP reaches 0, it's the end of the journey for you. Now, let's take a look at your sanity points. If it reaches yellow, pick an Insanity card, look at it, and place it above your character sheet. You're having a glimpse of your grim future, but the card isn't active yet. If you lose one more sanity point though, place your card to the right of your character sheet. You must now play the remainder of the mission by the rules of your Insanity card. Piece of cake. Not. One last thing. If you go to a space with this marker and there is no enemy in the space, you will have an encounter. Pick an encounter card and resolve it. Encounters are scenes, usually with moral, nay, immoral choices. Choose and deal with the consequences. And this is it, guys, at least for this basic mission. Other missions, let's call them heavier missions, would have a few new mechanics. Not to mention our multi-expansion box Whispers of Pompeii that introduces campaigns and a shitload of new ways to play Insania. On behalf of the talented team behind this game, I'm Marcelo, thanks for watching.